Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this edition of Unpopular Review. While you're at it, why don't you give us a follow on these beautiful social media platforms known as Facebook and Twitter at Unpopular Review. But there's another one. Give us a follow on Instagram. We got funny pictures, we got updates, and we have things where we tell you everything that's going on. So why don't you give us a follow on Instagram at unpopular.review. And now, back to the show.
Oh, really? You funny. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm M, and tonight I'm wiping my mouth because I was drinking this tea right here. Here it goes right here. I'm not ashamed. Look at that. Alice in Wonderland, because it's tea. I don't know. I like the cup. Anyway, we are doing Skyfall, and you know whose pick that is. That's my pick. I'm going to introduce some people, and I'm going to save the worst for last. You know it. He's going to take some time. I'm going to introduce our guest, though. We have the next doctor. Sir, how are you doing?
Excellent.
You see, I didn't wait for you to be in an embarrassing pose before I put you on screen. I'm polite that way.
I'm always in a great pose. It doesn't matter. This side.
There you go. Yes, black man. There you go, huh? Here we have
melanin popping.
Here we have another melanated person on here. Here we have Moneypenny. I call her. See the superior. Moneypenny, you look different. You look so different in this movie than what we've seen you in previously.
Oh, you know, it's just the tan. I've been doing some field work, so
okay.
Brown.
Field work, tan, coated. And here we have Mr. Vic. Mr. Vic, you're kind of casted in shadows and yet surrounded by light. How did you do that?
Magic.
Let me fix that.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Uh-oh. He's doing, for those who are on the podcast, he's doing exactly what Doctor Strange did in his whole movie and also in Endgame and Infinity War. And that's nothing right now, but he's about to speak. Hold on. He's raising up one.
There you go. You can see me better now, right?
There we go. Look at that, huh? This is beautiful, man, huh? All these beautiful people on here. We're going to bring in one more beautiful person. Even he tries to throw jabs at me. He's hateful, but I still love him.
I just don't understand why in the world were you eating an apple? You know, I told you they're bad for you. But ladies and gentlemen, hey,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the executive consultant here, and I am so glad that we're talking about another James Bond movie because you know it's one of my favorite movies.
Yes. We have a comment in the private chat. Dun, 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 dun. And that's just cracking me up. As I said, this was my pick, though, Skyfall. Why did I pick it? I said last time we did a Bond episode that I love Casino Royale. So why didn't I pick that one? One was Christy. She rushed to it and she said, I want to pick that movie. And I said, all right, fine, whatever. All right, pick Casino Royale. But I also like Skyfall. Why do I like Skyfall? 3 main reasons. And if you watch this movie, if you plan to watch this movie, look out for these 3 things, and we'll mention them later on in this episode. Bond, psychologically scarred and broken. I love when the main hero or protagonist, whoever we're rooting for in the story, when they're brought to their limit. There's a scene, not to give it something away from my best stuff, that reminds me of a scene in The Dark Knight when you see Batman sitting there without his cowl and he's not staring at anything. He's just staring blankly. He's broken. And at that point, you could either lose everything, lose it all, break, or you can rise above it. And I love when characters are brought to that level because you get to see how good of a character they are. Not just that way, that they make a comeback, but you actually see it worked out in film. I love it. I've been saying that since day one, since we were talking about Tony Stark. I like to see him actually build things. I love to see the genius. Don't just tell me he's smart, show me. I said the same thing about the dynamic with Guardians of the Galaxy, for those paying attention. So it's consistency that I'm trying to bring to this. The second thing is he's pushed to his limits and he rises above them. I love that. We see that. We see glimpses of that in Casino Royale, and especially his interrogation scene. I don't want to titillate too many people in this episode because they were kind of fixated on that moment. But we see when he turns it from his fear, because he's never been tortured before, to now I'm going to make jokes because I'm going to take the power from the person who has power over me. right then, split of the moment decision to try and do that. I love that. We see the same thing here in this movie. And lastly, it's a great backstory. You get more information on the character, not just him, but other ancillary characters that you never really knew about. And I love that. I love the world building in this movie. So let's jump into the synopsis. Then we're going to go into best of worst stuff, since you already know why I picked this movie. Following a near-fatal shot and fall, Bond lives a half-life off the grid. But after MI6 headquarters is targeted and bombed by an unknown assailant, Bond returns to London, ready for duty. But after 3 months away and out of action, is Bond ready to go toe-to-toe with an enemy who always seems to be one step ahead of MI6 with an almost inside working knowledge of their operations. And as I said, we're going to go best of, worst of. Even though it's my pick, I don't have to go first. Who would like it?
I'll go first. So my best scene here is when well, I guess it's further into the movie, after you get Silva, he's captured, but then he escapes. When they're running through the sewers or the tube stations underground, it gets to a point where Bond finally catches up to him. He's shooting at him. I don't know if he's trying to miss or if it's just because earlier in the movie they show the scenes where he's like training to get back into it, and he's really missing the shots because he's kind of unsure of himself. But he stops him right there, and then he has Silva pushes the button, boom, explosion. It's like, okay, well, what was that supposed to do? Well, behind you, and boom, a whole train comes through the ceiling. And I'm a sucker for special effects, especially practical special effects. And I looked it up. They actually built, a mock tube station. Well, that's what they call it in London, subway stations. And this was a full-size subway that they created with the set underneath, and they just threw a train at Bond. The enemy just threw a train at him. And I mean, it's like, who's thinking of that?
That's why he want to quit the movie now, because he's sick and tired.
That the level of planning that he went to is shown by him wanting to get captured, making his escape, but then to have it timed, he's like, yeah, I know you're gonna catch me right here because I got to climb up this long ladder, but I got something for you. Boom, I'm gonna throw a train at you, and I'm gonna get out of here. And I thought that was awesome. Plus, the fact that it was an actual, full-size train was great, but he threw a train at him. I mean, who gets to have a train thrown besides Spider-Man?
Awesome.
He's got powers. So I really like that one.
What about your worst stuff?
Well, I got one more best of. When Bond and M, after that whole scene, he kind of kidnaps her, and then they switch cars. They switch cars to the classic Aston Martin, and that's a nod to the other Bond films. I mean, when they show the Aston Martin, I mean, that is a British car. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. When you see that car, you think Bond. You think Britain, you think Bond, you think spy, that, and it does come into play later, but, just seeing that car is like, oh, yeah, this is a Bond car. And they play the Bond theme in kind of an old style during that scene as well, and I love that. It's not just the visuals; you got to have the audio with it. And I really love that they threw that car in there because that's a great Bond, great nod to the other ones. As far as worst, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I kind of, we'll get into that later, but it was just an okay movie, so I don't really have any worse ones. But I kind of think when they had Silva in custody, he's talking about, why he was doing what he was doing. He took out his teeth or whatever and showed his deformity. I kind of thought that was forced. I kind of thought it was tacked on. Other Bond villains, that's the kind of thing with Bond villains. They have some kind of deformity, like that's the thing. But it's like we only in that moment, and then it goes away. Like it's not really, it kind of goes with his psyche, but the deformity is only there for that particular moment. I kind of thought it was tacked in, They just like, okay, let's just have something for him, and it wasn't really something that they could play off for the rest of the movie. So I thought that was my only real, downside.
All right.
I'm chewing on that. Your take on that?
Damn.
Because as you say, they never really do bring it back. We never see the deformity, like even with them in the chapel at the end of the movie.
Right. No.
That's fair. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next because that's actually one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Damn.
Counter.
Yeah.
Counter.
Two people take the same thing.
Oh Lord, here we
Yeah.
go. Gotta be quick getting that.
Yeah, man. You gotta throw your dice in right away. Like,
Hey, that's why I took the first. I didn't want mine to.
yeah, I see, man. Everybody likes the same parts of the movie. Okay.
But no, I have a couple. So I just want to settle for that one because that's the one he didn't like. But I actually love that scene. I love the monologue. I feel like he had one of the best villain monologues in James Bond. It was just a great scene, and you got to see really how broken he was, how deranged he was, not just his physical, what we could see mentally. He's very intelligent, but he's gone, and I like that.
Can you say that again, please?
What you said?
He's very intelligent, but he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, I love that. That's good.
And the confrontation he has with M, it was for me very relatable, because if you ever had an instance where you're just trying to be like, you want this person to see what they've done to you, how they've done you wrong, and still even after you presented the evidence to them, they're just so unfeeling about it. It's just hurt me to my soul. I was like, oh, I almost hated him right along with him. I was like, yeah, she gotta die. She hurt this man. But I really loved that monologue. I really loved that scene together. He did a great job as the villain. But that's one of my favorite scenes. My other favorite scene was in the casino, when we got to see the shot with Bond and Moneypenny, and they're walking through the casino, but the camera's angled in a way that you can kind of see them both walking, even though they're not walking together. They're still having that dialogue together through their what is it, radio spy thing? I don't know what it's called.
Bluetooth.
But yeah, they're Bluetooth. But I like their interchange. I like how the camera was angled. And I also liked a scene that came not too far after that. And I wanted to highlight this actress too, because she did a phenomenal job as a Bond girl. The actress's name is Bernice Marlowe. I want to say that's how you pronounce her last name. She's French. But at the bar, even though it was like a really short scene, she's shown like so much emotional range in that scene at the bar. And I said, this is a really good actress, so I wanted to highlight her. My next favorite scene was probably the scene with Moneypenny and James Bond where she's shaving his face, because it was so intimate. And this is the most intimate I've seen James Bond and Moneypenny at all. It's always been like a little flirtation, but they was really all up in each other's face. I was like, wow, what's going to happen here?
Yeah, that is it's actually something I also noticed, and I researched it. This is the first time that Moneypenny has, really had a flirtatious relationship with Bond in the movies. Other times it's just been strictly professional. This was the first time they actually had.
Well, that he returned it, because she was kind of desperate for it in one of these movies. I know.
No, but they were at work. He's saying like together.
Okay, yes, okay, yeah. Wow. I wonder why they did that, but I enjoyed the scene. I thought it was a great scene.
You can't resist that.
She was doing a good job. She was, but the funny thing is,
did a great job in this one. I like it because again, it's like equals, and it reminded me of whatchamacallit in the last one, Casino Royale. That I can't think of her name now. All of a sudden,
Vesper.
Vesper. Because it's again, they're not trying to compete for the same position. They're playing their roles as two equals. Right. And I love that. It's a great dance, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I love it. Everybody has their part, and they know their part, and they're just having a great time. And as such, they're equals. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I love it. And it's all done in the simple act of she's shaving him. And again, they don't have we don't know because it's not shown, but they don't have sex in this movie. I haven't seen Spectre, so I don't know in that one, but it's so intimate. It's so much more intimate, right? And the fact that when Bond allows her to shave him, this is coming after the fact that she shot him, not intentionally, right? And she feels bad about that. But he's also telling her, "Hey, I forgive you. Don't worry. I trust you."
It's part of the job. I understand.
And she needs that, right? But she also has that feeling of dominance then in that he's literally putting his life in her hands. She could do anything she wants to him at that moment, right? And she knows that if he was me, I trust you completely.
But the weird thing is about that, they weren't even formally introduced until the end of the movie. So I wonder why they felt so comfortable. Was it just like an instant,
because remember, he knew her as a field agent. They were just there together. She was new to the field. Remember, because if you notice in the beginning of the movie, he's guiding her when they're in Macau. He tells her the same thing he told the guy, "Don't touch your ear." So he was never introduced to her like, if let's say this was the first time Rashad was on the show and he was never backstage, he's not introduced to you just because you're talking. But after the show, he would say, "Hey, I'm Rashad." That's a formal introduction. That's what Bond was saying, let's introduce each other because obviously I know you, but here we are professionally. This is who I am.
Yeah. So that was my third favorite scene. And that was pretty much it when it comes to my favorite scenes, though. So my worst scenes, I don't have really a worst scene in this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's the first time I didn't have a worst scene. I do like the back information that we get on the characters, like James mentioned, even though they mentioned before that she was very much about the big picture, or they, hinted at it with when James Bond killed the bomber, when he was supposed to bring him back to interrogation. And in this movie, it's even more shown that she's more about the big picture because she's willing to sacrifice Bond pretty much when she tells him Moneypenny to take the shot. And as we've seen with Silver, the way she just sacrificed him to get what she tried to, I guess rationalize it by saying she got 6 agents back and but I feel like they gave a little information on her.
And did anybody notice, because Silva says he was the agent around like 87 to like 90 something, 96, right? And M was still M back then. That would put her in the range of when you remember how we hadn't seen Bond from, what is it? Is it License to Kill and then GoldenEye, Chris?
It's License to Kill and GoldenEye, correct?
Okay, so that's a almost a 10-year span of time. So that puts her as M just after Timothy Dalton's run as Bond in world canon, right? Because obviously she was an M when Timothy Dalton played James Bond, but it's like a nice nod to it. And also she was supposed to have still been M under Pierce Brosnan when he was M. It's almost like they're giving a soft nod to everything that's going on, like we saw with the car, like we see with the theme and everything like that. But it's also to say, yes, she was M during these people's tenure as Bond.
Okay. So who would like to go next?
Vic, you want to go or Chris?
Sure. Well, okay. Obviously, the Austin Martin was one of my favorite because it felt a little like Rocky V. It felt like, like it was a homage to the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially my favorite part in that was the music. Because you saw the car and then they went down the road and you hear the old school vibe. Like that was just awesome. That whole and that was unexpected. Like he went and picked up M and all of that and that was cool. The other thing that I liked was when the villain pulled his face out, because that was shocking. Yeah, he just pulled this whole apparatus out. Now, which I was saying earlier about how you wish they would have gone a little bit further into that. But you could kind of see how, like, when he was pulling out his face, there was a lot of CGI in that. So they probably just left it at that and didn't want to move it around and with a no face and probably make him look like Scarface or You know what I mean? They probably wanted to leave.
I get for that particular effect, they probably couldn't do it the whole time, but having something that's present that, because all of the other, like, even in Casino Royale, he was constantly wiping the blood tears. Like they didn't always have to show it, but it was a constant reminder, hey, this is his deformity. And the other ones got the one where, he had diamonds in his face. I mean, there's always something that's prevalent throughout the entire, movie that it's like, okay, this is their deformity, because that's kind of the theme of Bond. And it was just like they showed it and then it went away, and it was like, okay, we needed something, but we didn't really want to keep it in there. So it just, like I said, just kind of felt tacked on to me. I did like his monologue. I love that part. I love the way he, his backstory. I felt it, but his deformity was like, okay.
You wasn't here for it.
Otherwise you wouldn't even know that
deformity was like.
I feel you, but I enjoyed it because I thought it was cool. I thought it was different. But yeah, I mean, but then at the same time, the promo that the guy cut on M was wow, man. It was just like. I mean, okay. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing.
We're not the right.
Sorry. Basically, the part when the villain was pretty much explaining the entire reason of why he was doing what he was doing and why he wanted revenge on M. I thought that was wow. I thought it was beautiful.
You're talking about on the island?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought that was beautiful. What else? Okay, so now let me just because there's a lot of things to like in this movie. It's just a good movie. It's just good Bond movies. But the one, and I'll say one thing about what I didn't like, and I'm gonna bring this up again later. I got upset because, and look, and I'm just gonna say this before I say all of this. I'm gonna say this before you watch. Yes, Chris. Yes, before you watch the Bond 25th movie, watch all the other movies, because then you're gonna feel the way that I feel when I realized that Q passed away 20 years ago. And they used the same Q for 15 years. They used the same Q through 15 movies. The old man, when this young guy showed up as Q, and James Bond was just looking at him like, you're a baby. And then, mind you, he held his own. Don't get me wrong, he held his own. That broke my heart. Because at that moment, I realized, I did the research and I started looking up, like, where's Q? Where's Q? And then I realized that they used the same Q since Sean Connery until now, and now he's gone.
I have to say, you made us sound so sad.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, man, they use the same cue. Like,
I understand.
I realized that
the cue for over 30 years, though, right? You said 15 years.
I think it's very sentimental.
Over 30
Let him be sentimental. Look at his name.
Yes.
Look at his just cue this evening.
Yes. Like, no, look, because I thought.
So Chris is essentially saying to you, Vic, that you shouldn't be surprised because the man was in these films for over 30 years and he wasn't a child when he started.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. That's the thing. It's just that at that moment is that I realized how long he was playing Q.
That's why he was pushing 60
watching all of these movies.
We saw him. Remember?
No, I mean, like in the last one.
Remember this man?
In the last one. In the last one is when I realized that, like in the last movie that we saw, because remember, I'd never seen any of these Bond movies.
In Casino Royale?
Yeah. No. Die Another Day. No, yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies. That's when I realized that it was the same cue, right? So I was just like, oh, wow, they're still using the same cue. That's crazy, right? But then, like, I was like, wait, how far did this go? And then I realized, and then when I saw this cue, I was like, oh, man, why? No.
R.I.P.
And I got sad. And that's it. That's just what it is. I got sad because, I know I'm 21 years late.
You're new to the franchise. Yeah, I feel you.
If I can interject.
I've never seen these movies.
If I can do a James Best.
I never say interject.
No, that's why. But you
But
don't
I
say
never
that.
saw.
Because
You
he's
don't say
out of
that
here.
you
Andrew.
do
He's
it.
out of here.
Just
He's
do it.
out of here. The finger was raised. He's out of here. He's not coming back. He's gone.
Actually, that's a good
Get him
idea.
outta here.
I don't think that's a good
That's a
idea.
great
He
idea.
was
I
too
think
smart.
that's a
Yeah,
good
and
idea.
He wouldn't have died. He wouldn't have died.
I
if he
think-
was smart.
Wait
Get
for
him
the
outta here.
casket, Andrew. You're a couple seconds ahead.
I think that's a great idea, though.
No, it is
In
not.
1997, Desmond Llewellyn, who plays Q,
Did Dr.
was
Doolittle.
like
He did
pushing 80. Okay, fine. Was pushing 80 in Tomorrow Never Dies, right?
I didn't know
That was
that.
in
Hey,
1997.
listen.
So
You know
you can
what?
look at the worst of
You can
them.
look at it.
Where are we in the
You
show?
can look at it. In 1997. So
You
you
know
mean
what?
to tell me in 2012 you thought this man, right, was still pushing it to be in a James Bond movie? You saw how
Best
he looked in
of, worst of,
1997,
best of.
where he could barely.
Anyway, I
I-
wanted to just get to my
I realized.
slowly across.
I
the
realized
front
that he
my
wasn't.
pick,
There
you
was no. Wait. Now
This
let
was
me
my
ask you
pick,
this.
ladies and gentlemen.
Was
You
there
know
a
how he
queue?
died?
I'll get back to you later.
You know how he
Wait.
died?
Was there a queue in Casino Royale?
No.
Hey,
you know
Vic,
how he
so
died?
is this your worst stuff or what? Where are we at, buddy? Help me
Hold
out.
on.
No,
Do you know
that's
how he
it. That
died?
was my worst stuff. It was
He
my worst
died
stuff
in a
because
car
of that
accident.
reason.
He died in a car accident a few weeks after The World Is Not Enough, which came out in 1999.
Oh damn! Really?
Mhm.
Damn.
Didn't die of natural causes. He died in a car accident. And his last scene was very fitting. Is when he introduced a new Q and said, I always try to teach you two things. One, never let them see you bleed. And two, always have an escape plan. It was actually a very fitting end for that.
Oh,
character.
the thing when he dips down. I saw that when I was
Correct.
reading.
That was the very last scene.
That is hot. That's crazy.
Then Bond stole his boat, right?
Oh man.
Correct.
That was his
Wait,
going
wait,
away.
where are we at?
Damn.
Are we at?
R.I.P. R.I.P.
You wanna go
R.I.P.
next or what?
All right, go
No,
ahead.
I'll
Yeah,
go last.
yeah.
You go before me.
Go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
that was
go
our
ahead.
best of
Yeah.
worst of. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break and then come back. No, I'm sorry. It's
Sorry.
all right. So a lot of my best stuff people already hit. I love the dialogue and the exposition scenes of Vic and also the executive consultant, but also Raul Silva in this movie. Okay, what? It's my turn. Anyway, I love.
Outlier with Tom Fuller.
Oh, that's tomfoolery. Sure, okay. So, all right. This is not a wrestling show and not a promo show where we just go on and on and on. But anyway, so
Sorry.
like Vic brought up at the beginning of his best of worst stuff before he just started talking about Q, was when he gives that of his grandmother's island that's overrun by rats. It was the most concise and to the point reason for why he was doing what he was doing. Now, I haven't seen all the James Bond, so I can't say all of them were like that. But when we get to the fake Asian and Dr. No, and then Steve Jobs and Tomorrow Never Dies, you know, it's kind of like vague, like, man, you really love the news. And the other one is like, you're really upset about those hands, G. But this one, like straight to the point, she abandoned us, she broke us, and she turned us into these monsters. So everything I'm doing, she trained me how to do. So I really, really love that. And then the part two of that is when he's captured and he's saying that to M and he wants her to basically stand trial, even though he's on the jury box, right? Or in the witness stand. He wants her to yeah, okay, Chris. We're gonna go over time on this. He wants her to stand trial and she won't give him the satisfaction, and she knows. And they're like very subtle micro expressions. And if you look at Bond, that M shows, but when you look at Bond, he's looking at it because he knows everything that Raul Silva is saying is true. He knows that, but he also accepts to a certain degree that that's the job.
Mm-hmm.
That's a famous line in I forget the last Mission Impossible movie when one of the characters, Alec Baldwin's character, said, had he done that, his whole team would be killed. And Angela Bassett's character, who works for the CIA, goes, yes, that's the job. And for whatever reason, Raul Silva, he really did look at M as a mother figure and lost that this is a job. I don't care how close we are, whatever like that. You knew what you signed up for. And as M explains, he was hacking. He was going beyond his purview, right? He was hacking the Chinese. They were already on to him. They were going to get him regardless. I got 6 people for somebody they were already going to get. And he wouldn't have got caught had he not been doing what he was not supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? So again, it's big pictures, true to who M was, as I think Chrissy said, but it's just a great back and forth dialogue. Even at the end, when he just wants a hug, he's like an abandoned child almost, you know. And Bond is like the child that M always wanted, who got the relationship. You know what I mean? He got enough of the parenting that he needed. As she says, orphans make the best agents, but it was the job. The job was the passion. The job was the first love. That's always been how it's been for Bond. Let me go back, though, to the beginning. I love that opening sequence when we see Bond and we don't know where it is. As it happens, it's Istanbul, and he's in the apartment, and he's like, Ronson's been shot. He needs an evac and everything like that. And it's a very, very quiet scene, the way they shoot that. You don't hear any ambient noise other than Bond's footsteps and him grabbing the cloth to try and compress it, right? He goes outside when Emma's like, go follow after Patrice to get the file. And it's a bustling city. You would have never known that had he not gone down the steps. I love that transition, the way they filmed that scene. It's just a great thing for me. I don't know, it's just a small thing. Vic brought up Q before he started to salivate. I wanted to mention this, that I love the sequence when Bond meets Q at the museum. And Q sits down, and it's almost reminiscent of how Raul Silva introduces himself to Bond on the island. He sits down almost uncomfortably close to him, and Bond is like, he wanted to smack him at first, but he's like, I'm waiting for somebody, you know. And then he realizes that this guy, and then the thing that Q throws at him, it's reminiscent of what Llewellyn did. Llewellyn is the actor who played Q that Vic was talking about, right? His first love. It's the jabs that they would throw at each other. But this Q, he says, what do you think of the painting? It's kind of embarrassing that this grand old ship is being tugged. It's gone past its prime, you know. And Bond is like, dude, you're doing too much. It's just a painting. That's what I think of it. Who are you? And then he's getting ready to leave because he thinks the guy's a weirdo. And then he says 007. And then he realizes, and then they have a little sparring match, little back and forth. And it's almost a grudging respect. They give a little and they get a little. You know what I mean? And I love that dynamic between them. Even more so than what we saw with Vic's preference of the older Q, who kind of seemed like, my dude, like how long have you been part of AARP? Like, because you're pushing it, you're leading this branch, like you're doing too much.
God rest his soul.
It's been a minute. Relax.
To that scene though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I saw it as, you know, the new Q. He knew who Bond was, but he didn't have the same reverence for him.
Yes.
You know, it was just like, okay, you're another agent. And, you know, like, but he understood who he was, because at the end, even though he didn't give him a lot of stuff, he still said, bring it back in one piece.
Yes.
Give me a gun in the radio, bring it back in one piece. You know, and it's just like, I know who you are, so I know you're going to mess something up, but I'm going to still say this, but here's some stuff because I know you're an agent, but, you know, he doesn't really have the same respect and reverence that, you know, other people that have been there longer would have had. Let me ask you, that was interesting, you know, having that dynamic of a new Q, not really, you know, respecting the history of Bond, but still, you know, doing his job.
Let me ask you this then: when they're working together to catch Raul, when they're running through the underground, right? And he's tracking Bond and everything like that, and he's telling him which way to go. Do you think he earns, or they both earn, a grudging respect for one another, and that they respect what each other does?
Yes, because I think at that point, you know, Bond did the job. He caught the guy. He brought him there. It's like, okay, I see why Bond is, you know, who he is. And at the same time, you know, Bond saw, okay, he's got all this technology. He knows what he's doing for this, you know, okay, this is the person. Because I think Bond still respected Q's position, you know, as the quartermaster. I don't think there was any, like, you know, it was like, oh yeah, he's a young guy, but I think he still respected that position because he knew what it was worth. You know, he's an agent. Bond's been around a while. He knows what Q brings to the table. He respects that. Yeah, he's a younger guy. He was like, okay, I know what you're here for. And, you know, Bond's still about the business. You got what I need. You're the person to do it. All right, cool. So I think that Bond, you know, really respected him, had more respect in that relationship up front. And I think Q gained more respect for Bond afterwards.
That's very okay. That's very interesting. Vic, I didn't want you to cry any, but did you agree with what Rashad said? Or
Well, no, I just liked how the new Q's gun ended up helping Bond in the fight.
yeah,
Right.
Like that's one thing that I definitely noticed. Like that, that definitely helped him. And I could be wrong, but I don't ever remember Q being a guy on the chair for Bond, like literally sitting on the computer and navigating him. I don't ever remember that happening. Like I said, I didn't see these movies, so could be wrong about that. But that's the first time that I see that whole situation. Because so far, I've been introduced to Q as the guy with all the cool gadgets that shows up in the key points of the movie. Right, but this is the first movie where I see Q being way more helpful.
Yeah,
Right.
he's definitely more active in these because even in the next one, yeah, he's more active. Or was it the one before? No, I think it is the next one. But yeah, he's way more active than normal.
And now here's the thing, like you know what? I'll leave this for my final thoughts.
yeah, because I was surprised you didn't mention it during your best of, but I was going to let you go on in my time. But let me just go back.
The audacity.
I love
The audacity.
I love Moneypenny and Bond and Macau. That shaving scene, I already talked about that. I love the fact that Silva knew everything about Bond that he needed to know, all his information, his test results, more than Bond knew about himself, right? Because he thought that he was shocked, like, oh, I passed the test to become a active field agent again. And Silva knew all that information about him before he stepped foot on the island. I love a villain who's done his homework. I don't like a stupid villain, because if you have a stupid villain, then the hero is not really good at his job. He's just pointless, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I like it to make sense, since Chris is always putting up that banner. And lastly, I love the end of this movie, almost Dakota, where it's the introduction of Eve Moneypenny and M, the new M, and we actually get the name. We get the name of Judi Dench's M, and we get the name of the new M, Emma and Mallory. And I love that. And it's the introduction of M when he goes in there, and we see Bond. He didn't realize that Mallory was going to be the new M, and then he's surprised by it, and then he thinks of something to say, and then M throws it right back, and then it goes back to that stoic M that we saw in Dr. No, right? Where they have a relationship, you know what I mean? I wouldn't call it a friendship. It's a professional distance, right? And then he says, "Are you ready for to come back to work?" He says, "I am." He says, "Good, we got a lot to do," And I just love that, because it's, again, another callback. This was the 50th anniversary film, but it's another callback to what we've seen in times past, but also respectful to what they had established throughout the years, and with Judi Dench's M. Now, the one thing that I didn't like, and it's a small quibble, I would have loved the character Kincaid to have been played by Sean Connery. I'm not the only one to have said it. I think he had retired from acting after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't know why he didn't come back exactly, but I would have loved for him to play Kincaid. Kincaid was the groundskeeper of Skyfall, the ancestral family home of Bond. Had he walked around the corner with the shotgun, people would have flipped. I would have flipped. I would have been crying like Vic was when he saw Llewellyn wasn't in this movie. So it would have been a great scene, but that's my worst stuff. Chrissy, what's up?
They mentioned that he's an orphan. So how is it that the groundskeeper gets to keep the family home?
No, he didn't own the family home. He was he was the one taking care of it. That was his job. He's like, in Goblet of Fire, the one who gets
but who was paying him?
Huh?
They mentioned, I know in the last one, Casino Royale, Vesper kind of mentioned something like where she was filling him out. She mentioned that he was an orphan and that he was sent to a prestigious school, but not of his own money. And he had a benefit, not a benefactor, it's a benefactor, but anyway, someone's paying his way into school. So it made it seem like he came from nothing almost.
No, she's reading him but it doesn't mean that everything she said was correct.
Yeah. But the way that, I don't know, the way that they said it made it seem like, okay, this is fact, because they didn't say it wasn't true. Like he didn't, give it anything away, but I guess that's his character. He doesn't give anything away. But then we find out that, okay, he's actually, an orphan, but the house is still around. The groundkeeper's getting paid to do whatever he does from something or someone. And not only that, his name, I wonder why they kept his name as James Bond, because that's his family name. So when he's out here doing all this, you know, Secret Service or secret agent stuff, he uses his real name. That just seems weird to me. But,
well, I think that since he's an orphan, I mean, there's no family left, so there's nothing that anyone could do to harm him because, okay, yeah, my name's Bond, but who are you going to kidnap to, you know, try to extort me or make me do something? Because there's no one left, you know, that I would care about.
The groundskeeper.
I mean,
the groundskeeper's not related to him.
Yeah.
But they have a relationship, obviously, when they first, you know, when they first introduce to each other or first talk to each other in the house, you can see that they have like some kind of relationship.
But who's going to assume that if they try?
You know what? I have a relationship too, right? I have a relationship with the time because for some reason I can't seem to say my part in the very first segment.
I thought you already gave it when you and Q went back.
No, I didn't give it. I didn't give my best of worst scenes. Let me start with my worst of scene. My worst of scene was the fact that 42 minutes into the show, I'm able to give my best of worst of scenes. All right, because 42 minutes into the show, James took 26 minutes of it. So I just want everybody. Yeah, I blame it on you. I blame it on you. Best of worst of scenes. Unfortunately, you saved the best for last, but because it saved the best for last, some people actually said. It's fine. Spotlight needs to be on me anyway. Some people already said James being no, it was Vic.
I didn't do that.
But I know it was Vic. I see him laughing too hard over there. So he gives himself away. He's lucky he went backstage. I couldn't put him on a commercial bus. But anyway, here's the thing, right? Some of my favorite scenes.
I'm trying to turn him.
Yes.
Are you done? All right, cool.
The villain is stupid for always the villain is playing, but that's.
I like the scene because everybody knows I'm the James Bond fanatic here. Seen all 24 of the James Bond movies. So I like the scene where they switch cars. Thought that was a very good scene. They already mentioned it. Not going to go too much in detail right there, but that is a classic. That's a shout out. That's a throwback. So appreciate that.
A better car
James,
than
I didn't think anybody.
Chrissy,
y'all had enough time to talk. That's all me. So
okay.
So
but everyone else gets to.
No. Every single person did this. Every single person did this. You know, you Dragon Ball Z lover over there, Mr. You know, Head and Shoulders over there, and then the guy that's in the backstage area messing around with people. Again, cops called him. Look, here's my thing, right? So then we also have the last scene that James alluded to, and I actually appreciate it. I thought nobody else appreciated it. The call back. I love the throwbacks. So I love the part where it actually set up to the point. Okay. We went to the prequel, so to speak. We went to the setup of how he becomes James Bond. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now completely official because I feel like it was all origin stories. Completely official. This is James Bond. This is how he does things, right? Went there, James hit the nail perfectly on the head. Can't get a cell phone for crap, but hit the nail perfectly on the head. Talked about the fact that Mallory turned into M. Eve Moneypenny went from, hey, I'm actually going to shave you to, hey, I'm giving you your orders. Here you go. Right? Great transition. Love that scene. Right? I think Dame Judi Dench actually stole this movie. For 77 years old, that woman was phenomenal. 77 was around the age where the OQ died.
Here we go.
Anyway. No. Because
I knew
even
though he said 77, I knew it.
No, but no, check this out. 8 years later, she's still in movies. Yeah, you brought your butt back for that. 8 years later, she's still in movies. Right? She's still strong, right? Great actress. Dame Judi Dench stole this movie. Actually said the first F word of any movie in James Bond history. So good credit for that. Also a scene. It was a little small scene, but I loved it. It was I hate to say anything else, but it was a cute scene. Him chasing him, opening the back of that train, falling into the train, and then adjusting his tuxedo there. Love that scene. It was good. It was good. He made it look so cool. He made it look so smooth and look cheesy, like it could have looked cheesy. So I have to give it. I have to give it credit. Somebody's a butthole in the private chat. Now, let's go to my worst scene. So everybody, I said this earlier. 24 James Bond movies, about to be 25. I am the James Bond fanatic. I've been watching all of them. I talked a little bit about this in pre-production. I've only seen this movie 3 times. It's the third time I saw it. Most James Bond movies I've seen at least 10 times. You know, depending on what movie it is, it could be triple digits for no talk. I love James Bond movies. I have a few worse scenes in this. All right. And I'm going to save a lot of this for the final thoughts, but I have a few worse scenes in this. Worst scene number 1, I did not like the monologue that everybody's talking about between Raul Silva and M or Bond or where the hell he was talking to when he was in jail. Why? It sounded like a baby. That's why. It sounded like a brat. It sounded like that kid from Jingle All the Way last week. Okay, so he's in the jail, and this is what I heard.
Here we go.
Right? This is what I heard. Yeah. Look. And and get me wrong, for our LGBTQ community, let me tell you, all right, I was going to mention no. I was going to mention the part where he's actually sitting down with me and James Bond. And he's caressing his his chest and his legs and stuff like that. But no, I'm not talking about that when I put this up. So I just want to make sure I throw that disclaimer out there. What I'm talking about, the fact is, if anybody in this it was funny. When I went to my job yesterday, and they're like, "Why you always walk in here like you're James Bond?" I said he's one of my favorite characters, but I didn't mean to walk in here like, hey, James Bond. I don't consider myself more James Bond. I consider myself to be more the person was stolen from me, and that's him. Because it's about business with me. You know what I'm saying? We can be cool, we can be friendly. But I said take the bloody shot. All right? That's what it is about with me. So when I hear somebody doing some whining and crying because they did the job, you got caught, buddy. Right? You knew the deal when you signed on to be a 00. You know what happens if you get caught. You waited months to take the cyanide pill, and it wasn't as effective. So your jaw got taken out. And I have to shout out to Rashad. They did it one time, and that was it. Like, what's the point of that movie? I mean, if I went to go take a piss during that that scene, I would have never known it happened. Right? Do your little question mark head turn, James. It's the truth. If you went to the bathroom during that scene, you would have never known he had some facial issues.
Why would I wait for him to be captured to go to the bathroom?
Because why are you getting captured in the middle of the movie? You're supposed to be a big bad villain, right? But you come down here, you talking about rats, right? I didn't understand that monologue. I understand the mechanics behind it, but you
why you say
it
like that?
He doesn't want to show his deformity, so
here's what I'm saying, right? If I'm a secret agent, I got captured, right? You captured me, and you really didn't capture me. I came to your island to get captured. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had two or three people trying to kill me. They could have killed me. I killed them, or some iguana killed them. And then I go and I bone your girlfriend, right? And she says, hey, just come up here. Come up here and just talk to all these guys that have guns, right? So I turned myself in practically because I wanted to meet you. I had no faith in you, right? I failed test. I can't shoot for crap, right? All I have on me is a radio and a gun that somebody already tried to use. And I get captured. And when I'm captured, you come down here talking to me about some rat story? No. But mommy's been a bad girl. No, I don't want to hear that. So yeah, you get captured. I'm like, okay, this guy is a joke. He's rubbing all on my chest. He's rubbing my legs. He's looking at me, giving me the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not taking you seriously. Get the hell out of my face. You know what I'm saying? Go to a karate gym. It was terrible.
Which one is worse? If they hit you with the rope on your genitals, or if the man just wants to feel on your chest a little bit? Which one do you prefer?
I wish I knew you were going to ask me that question, and hopefully I'll use this as a commercial, because I'll put pictures up here. What do you think is more intimidating? Me sitting butt naked on a daggone chair with the little sides or the padding all taken out, and somebody got a rope and swinging while Vic's watching the TV like, yeah, keep going. Or me sitting fully clothed, where a guy come to me talking about some raps, rubbing my legs and looking to see my bullet wound, and there's somebody watching the TV and saying, "Oh, hey, girl," I'm just saying. I don't know what's more intimidating. You tell me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're 15 minutes into this. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Look at Chrissy. She's like, skip those. Woo. We'll be back after this brief commercial message. Stay with us. Unpopular review. And I know it's not recasted. I wasn't a fan of this brat right here.
Oh God.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
Yeah, he was
a crap.
Y'all giving him too much credit. He was a brat. If he was my kid, you ain't talking to me like that. I don't care if I missed your daggone little stupid karate tournament that you have every single week. Actually, it was karate practice. It wasn't a tournament, because my daughter had her little thing. I dropped her off and I picked her up. It was a tournament. Somebody from the family will be there. I missed it. Guess what? Papa had to work. That's how I paid for your karate classes. Get out my face. And you're going to sit here. You're going to sit here and you're going to run for me. You're going to run for me and tell me I never keep my promises.
So my first one I was thinking of when I said, okay, if they were to do this in a modern version, I would recast our main characters here, Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I said, who could do this if it was like a modern day? And instantly I said,
oh, I know it.
Right there.
I will give you credit because that's who they would pick.
Yes, that's for sure who they would pick. I said, this is the recasting for 2020. Boom.
The prettiest girl in school and the coolest guy in school.
Oh man, I got lucky.
You like Zach Morris and Kelly Kapowski.
I have no idea.
Bayside, you know.
Those people are white.
How you doing, Merry Christmas? What can I get for you?
Does Santa really work in the North Pole?
No, he don't work. He lays on the couch and he drinks all day. He's trifling. I have to pay all the bills. He kind of like your mama. Now, bye. Next. Not you. Look how you jumped on. I'm talking to you. Go see him, Medea Christmas. You gonna enjoy yourself.
All right, and we are finally back into our next segment. Finally into our next segment, which is quotables. So let's see how long this one is going to take.
You don't mind going last, right?
I'm going first this time. I'm going first because I'm not getting screwed out of this one. All right. I didn't have any quotables from this movie. I had forget dignity. I'll go out when the job is done because once again I feel like I'm very much like him, and that's how I look at things. Somebody asked, "Do you mind if I ask you a business question?" To which James Bond responds, "Depends on the question." That's a line that I use a lot when people ask me a question in general. Can I ask you a question? Depends on the question. And then that was it. That's my quotables.
Okay.
All right. Two more than what you said you had, but I'll take it. I'll just go into, I only have one. It's, Chris already pretty much said it. It's, you had a great run. You should leave with dignity. And M says, to hell with dignity, I'll leave when the job's done. Thought that was a great quote. Who's next?
I mean, I guess I might as well say it because if mine was said too. That's the only quote I had as well. You know,
great quote.
I mean, I think the reason why it really resonated is because it really shows the character of M. I mean, we've been talking about it this whole episode. You know, she's about the business. You know, she is going to do the job, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter if she's sacrificing her own dignity or if she's sacrificing her agent. You know, if it gets the job done, if it protects the country, that's what she's going to do. And I think that quote really summed it up. It was like, she doesn't care about anything else except for the mission. So,
yep. Great quote. Who's next?
Vic or Q?
James likes to go last. I'm noticing that more and more every episode.
I believe you must be muted, Q.
No, keep going. We can hear you.
You're muted. There you go.
No, age is no guarantee of efficiency, Q.
Yes.
That's good. That's a good one.
I was trying to post it in the thing, but there was no time. Got it.
It's fine.
All right, Emma's on you.
All right, I got a couple of them. As I said, I love the dialogue, so I'm going to read some dialogue things. Good thing we're ahead of time. But just some one-offs. When he pulls the shrapnel out of his chest, you know, and he goes to the guy.
Stop.
Don't interrupt him. We got to get through these 50 million quotables he has here. Don't say a word.
He said when you pull the shrapnel out of my chest.
I heard, and we're letting it go. Let it go.
When Bond pulled the shrapnel out of his chest, what's wrong with that?
Go ahead, Em. Please continue.
When he got the bullet fragments analyzed.
Yeah.
Chris, don't say that.
To his own chest.
I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking some more Tony Stark, Iron Man, Doctor Strange stuff. All right, go ahead.
No.
You never know when it's tomfoolery.
No. I left that with the trash MCU. So when he pulls the shrapnel out of his chest, he goes, "Get these analyzed for her eyes only." Again, a callback for his eyes only. Is it for his eyes or her eyes only?
For your eyes only.
For your eyes only, right? So it's a callback to that one. I love that. I love when Bond, and this is why I thought that M lived in the MI6 headquarters, because her house looks completely different than it did in Casino Royale, right? And the view and everything. And after MI6 is blown up, she's living in like a proper house, right? But she goes, "Where the hell have you been?" He goes, enjoying death. 007 reporting for duty. Now, I've never said 007 reporting for duty, because why would I? That would be crazy, and I'm not like that insane. But I've always liked to say in my head, enjoying death. That I've been at that place before. You know what I mean? Chrissy is laughing, but that's because she's pampered. But for those who have struggled in their life, there comes a point when you just had enough, and I've had enough on several occasions, or been in that valley, however you want to describe it. And I could understand why he said enjoying death. When that's all you know, when you only know sorrow or pain or whatever, you have to get some kind of enjoyment out of it. That's why people live in that. Some people go through depressions or bouts of depressions or whatever like that. And so when he said enjoying death, it just resonated with me, all joking aside. So I really, really like that one. I'm going to go to the rat sequence that Chris loved. Okay. Here we go. Chris, this is for you, buddy, because you talked about the chest rubbing and the thigh rubbing, and I just said I got to read this for Chris. Okay, here we go. You can put up teacup if you want. Was that what you were alluding to? No? Okay.
We do not do that.
Hello, James. Welcome. Do you like the island? My grandmother had an island, nothing to boast. You could walk around in an hour, but still it was a paradise to us. One summer, we went for a visit and discovered the place had been infested with rats. They come on a fishing boat and gorge themselves on coconut. So how do you get rats off an island, My grandmother showed me. We buried an oil drum and hinged the lid, and then we wired the coconut to the lid as bait. And the rats would come for the coconut and pluck, pluck, pluck. They will fall in the drum. And after a month, we've trapped all the rats. But what do you do then? Throw the drum in the ocean? Burn it? No. You just leave it. And they began to get hungry, and one by one, they started eating each other until there are only two left, two survivors. And then what? Do you kill them? No. You take them and release them into the trees. But now they don't eat coconut anymore. Now they only eat rat. You have changed their nature. The two survivors. This is what she made us. Again, I love it. People didn't like it, but I did, because it speaks so clearly, and it's so illustrative of what he's trying to convey. Right? That she changed our nature, who we were. We could have been completely different people. Silva saying, I could have had a completely different life. Right? And he's not saying it as like or like, a manic or something like that, even though he has snapped. He's saying it very rationally. And I think he is, to a certain degree, making inroads with Bond. That's my opinion. Now, we know that Bond's first true love is for Queen and Country, as he says, right? But Bond is listening. He's not taking it as the rantings of a madman, And I really did appreciate that sequence. I loved when M is talking to Mallory, or the new M, and they're talking about having to go in retirement, right? And he goes, forgive me, but that sounds like an invasion. Forgive me, but why am I here? 3 months ago, you lost a computer drive containing the identity of almost every NATO agent embedded in terrorist organizations around the globe, a list which in the eyes of our allies never existed. So if you'll forgive me, I think you know why you're here. Are we to call this the civilian oversight? No, we're to call this retirement planning. So I love that. It's a very British way of them going back and forth. He's being respectful. He's given her respect for all the years that she's put in, but he's saying, no, you know what this is. Let's not act like we're stupid. It's time for you to go, and I just love that. And I love how direct but respectful Mallory is to Judi Dench's M. And I have just the last one. This is the beginning of the movie. As I said, when Bond comes in the room, he goes, Ronson's down. He needs medical evac. Where is it? Is it here? Is it there? Again, to Chrissy's point, the big picture. She doesn't even hear that Ronson's down. Now, she knows that there are people whose job it is to worry about Ronson and to get the evac, right? Her job is to get that computer drive. Ronson's down. He needs medical evac. Where is it? Is it there? Hard drive's gone. You sure? It's gone. Give me a minute. They must have it. Get after them. I'm stabilizing Ronson. We don't have time. I have to stop the bleeding. Leave him. And that's M and Bond. At least Judi Dench and Bond. And I love that because, again, in a lot of these spy movies and everything, you don't get the interplay between headquarters and the field agent, right? And we see that Bond, even though he comes across when he's on the mission as just cold and calculated, he is a very loving and caring person, and I love that they took the time to show that he cares about the other agents in the field. He doesn't want them to die. He doesn't want to just kill wantingly, right? He is a thinking person. He's not a brute, and I love that they showed that. And to Chris's point, again, understand what I mean, because I know they're going to use this as a commercial or as a promo for another episode. I like the fact that Silva was touching Bond. Here's why. because he immediately disarmed Bond. Now, yes, Bond was disarmed, but Bond was shook. You see it all on his face, and it's a great acting scene, right? Because Daniel Craig is shown like he doesn't know where it's going. Is he about to be raped? I'm not being funny. Like he doesn't know what Silva's about to do, and Silva calls him on it. He's having fun just playing with them, and he says, "You're in your head right now, trying to think of what you're to do. What's the training on this? But you can't think of anything, right?" And Silva is giving him a glimpse of some of the things that he went throughout. We don't know how many years he was tortured by the Chinese, right? That they would psychologize, and you're going through your head, what do I do? How do I survive this? How do I survive that? But there comes to a point when you're at a loss and you're just broken, and hence why he says to M, and I took the cyanide pill and it didn't work. But to Chris's point, which he's absolutely correct, you used it 6 months after you were captured. It's not going to work the same. So those are my quotes, and that is quotables.
I do want to, if I can just interject, I like that analysis of it, but I think that's one of the differences between Bond and Silva, because even though Silva did that, Bond may have been shook for a moment, but he came right back because he was like, how do you think this is my first time?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He had, I think he was stronger than Silva, and I think that's why, even with all the stuff that he knows about him, he knows that, I could be thrown away just like any other agent. He still can maintain that loyalty to the job because he's stronger. Because even in that moment, he was like, okay, yeah, I don't know what you're about to do, but I can still read the room. I can still be me, and he comes back. How do you think this is your first time? Because he rebuts. So I think that's a good contrast to their two personalities.
Rashad, you're absolutely right. And this is what I was talking about, how he takes control in Casino Royale by making it a joke. And in this one, he says, as you say, he flips it. He says, how do you know this is not my first time? And he's taking power from being in a powerless position. You're absolutely right, but you're also a hater. Anybody else?
Speaking of hater,
Andrew's been hating from the comments all night, ladies and
gentlemen. She'd be better as a villain. You know what? That'll be very interesting to see. I disagree with her not being M, but if she was not M and she was a villain, I think she would tear the house down. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our next segment. It's called Recast It, finally. It's called Recast It, and we are here for it. And who would like to go first? Vic.
Vic. There we go.
Wait. I had to unmute myself. Hang on. Okay,
We can't hear you, Vic.
We can hear you. Don't do that.
All right. So obviously, everybody already knew that I was going to do this.
Oh God!
I just want to know how you would do it. Like, are you going to go like dig them up and
CGI,
deepfake,
and like
gotcha.
Make like because he could, because he's the computer guy, so he can hologram himself. Yeah, I would matrix the whole thing. That's all. But honestly, like I feel like this movie is the beginning of the death of Bond. And I feel like after the next movie, this is going to be the new 007. So I wonder if the character of James Bond is going to continue. And since this got me thinking about that, I would replace that person with, and I can't find the picture, so I'm just going to say it, Idris Elba. I think he would be a good guy to play Bond if they ever continue with Bond. Because now it has me wondering if they're actually going to just continue with the 007 character or if they're going to do Bond again.
Well, I think, Vic, you're conflating two different things. 007 is just that field agent 007.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, I wonder, so like if the next movie, because look, it seems like this is the direction that they're going, right? It looks like 007 might be her after the next movie. Because one thing that I'm seeing, at least from this movie, and in the last two movies, is that they're pretty much just passing the torch. And the next movie is definitely going to be the torch passing. So now that got me thinking into who would be a good Bond if they would ever just redo just the character James Bond. And I couldn't find the picture, but I think Idris Elba would be a good British actor to take that on.
He said that he wanted to do it, but he felt that he was too old. But I would have loved to see him like 10, 15 years ago, you know, on. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But of course, people weren't woke then, you know, so they didn't want black.
Yeah.
But now they want blacks. Now blacks everything. Blacks. Black.
I'll go ahead and go next if that's your last recast of Vegas. That's your final.
Yeah, I was gonna go, but Chris, you want to go?
No, you weren't, because I'm going. So actually, I too recasted Q. I had a really hard time thinking about who could I recast in this film because I thought everybody did a great job, and I just think it was perfectly cast. But when I saw him, I saw another person, and I know this person from a show that used to come on FX back in the day called Bates Motel. This young man right here, his name is Freddie Highmore, and he's actually English. He plays an American actor in the show, but he's an English actor, and I feel like they have a similar look almost, and I feel like he could play the role.
He's in a doctor show right now, isn't he?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I know he's in some doctor show, kind of like House, like a modern House, but not as good probably.
I think it's called The Good Doctor. I've only seen a clip.
I'm surprised you didn't put Fantastic Beasts as Q. They look almost the same.
They do kind of look similar, but I think he's a little older than what the role calls for.
Is he 27?
No, he's like in his 30s, like mid 30s.
So he's a month
But
older
that's
than
my
you. He's a
recast.
month older than you.
Are we critiquing?
Go ahead, Chrissy. Do you have another one?
No, that's the only one I had.
I would say Yul Brynner would have been a great Bond villain.
I have to look that up. I don't know who that is.
He was in The King and I. It's the musical you always talk about.
I don't like musicals. All right, Mim, your turn.
It's me. Okay. So listen, I always do my recasted. I always do my recasted based on who people look like. That's why I said Fantastic Beast for Q, because he looks just like the guy. I forget the guy who played Fantastic Beast. That's why I call him Fantastic Beast. But in this movie, we had this French actress, Genevieve. I don't know her last name, and she was in that scene in the bar in Macau. As Chris said, she was the woman that got smashed by Bond and then got shot. It's a very important role. It was a very important role, Chris said. But when I was looking at her, and she did act it well, as Chrissy said, she was great in that scene when they were at the bar. I love how she played the subtle fear and everything like that. It was really, really great. And trying to mask it, all joking aside. But she looked like somebody. I said, who does this chick look like? She reminds me of somebody. And I kept thinking about it. I said, okay, it's Jennifer Lawrence. Now, I wouldn't recast her as Jennifer Lawrence because I think Jennifer Lawrence looks too young. This actually looks like a mature woman. And when I say mature, I don't mean an old woman, but I mean like seasoned. She's been around. She's seen something, right? Jennifer Lawrence doesn't. This is what I mean. She's dressed up as a mature woman, but she looks like a little girl, right? And this is her in Days of Future Past, but the hairdo was reminiscent, and that's why I kept thinking of it. And I said, that's who she reminds me of, and I just wanted to show that. And then this episode comes on, and as you know, it gets me thinking, as I said, Fantastic Beasts for Q, right? And then Vic, he starts to tear up. He's crying. That's why he's in the shadows right now. He doesn't want anybody to see. And then he puts up Llewellyn. And I said, that's who I would recast as well. And I recast him as this old man from Poltergeist 2.
You are so wrong when so many.
It's my recasted, sir. Let's have some respect for me, please. Every time I'm trying to do a professional recast, here you go with the
you are wrong.
Listen, can I recast? This is the Q that we've known prior to this Skyfall in 2012. Now, Vic was surprised that this man, who was an old man in 1962, was not alive in 2012. Vic is Vulcan, so he lives for 2 centuries. But everybody else, you gotta go, right? So I'm reminded of this guy who's clearly been around for 2 centuries. This one will. It's hot in that cave, ain't it? And if you but that's who I would recast this guy right here. This guy.
I haven't.
He's the Reverend,
seen,
and he sings the song. Let me just.
This is why you see this ridicule, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I tell you to watch
the song that he sings.
That's why I say watch all those movies before you know.
You seen Poltergeist before? They got sequels.
Yeah, of course I seen.
You remember him? Yeah. You remember him?
I see these.
I just want to say in the history.
Can't you see him saying that? Let me
in the history of recasts, in the history of unpopular review, entertainment, I've never seen something so disrespectful, so blatantly disrespectful.
Really? Your Ant-Man recast
what you
was
just did.
Disrespectful? Crypt Keeper? Really, sir? You cast a human, a living human, as a ghoul living in a cellar. You literally cast somebody as a poltergeist. How dare you? How dare you?
Never
This man is a reverend.
Something so disrespectful. So wrong. Look at you. You're still going. You're still going. You're not. That's just low. That's just low. I cannot sign off on that. I cannot agree with that.
Man.
That was wrong. That was wrong.
You guys got me laughing.
Let's stop
so
there.
much.
Do you have any recasting?
Yes. I also would have recasted Bond as Idris. Another British actor. I think he would have been great for the role. Even being a little older, because his Bond is supposed to be kind of a little bit past his prime, I think it would have worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Also for Silva, now I do think that the way it was cast was excellent. I think everybody played their role. I mean, the movie itself, I only think it's average, but I think everybody played their role well. But for the character of Silva, I think Nicolas Cage could have pulled it off. Kind of kooky, crazy. The bees. I think he could have done a good job. I don't think he would have had the same subtleties, but I think he brought his own quirkiness to a Bond villain for this movie. And I think
you should leave him in National Treasure.
I
don't know about that one.
I think you earned this because
Could Nicolas Cage have played John Wick? Do you think he could have played that laid back?
You keep Nicolas Cage and his non-acting far away from any James Bond movie.
Nicolas Cage has been a viewer of this show since day one, and you watch your mouth, executive consultant. He's been a day one on this show. Day one.
We can lose Nicolas Cage just as fact that we lost all those viewers that you disrespected, which you recasted by.
We have a lot of Poltergeist fans. Okay, we have a lot of Poltergeist fans. How dare you? Chrissy, did you see my
senior community?
I have not. I watched it on the replay.
I recasted Q as the Reverend from Poltergeist 2. That's who I recasted him in.
Wait, have you seen Poltergeist, Chrissy?
I have not.
Chrissy
have not seen Poltergeist.
I have not seen Poltergeist, but I can recognize the disrespect. I can recognize disrespect when I see it.
The disrespect in the history. We've been at entertainment for 9 months.
She just knows. If you didn't say that, Chris, she wouldn't know. She'll fly.
9 months. I've never seen such disrespect in UPRE. Never.
Hello, kitties. You cast a living human as the Crypt Keeper. How dare you? How dare you somebody cast it?
Goodness
James, I'm ashamed to call you a friend, ladies and gentlemen. There's only one thing I will recast. There's no person I will recast. I think this movie was casted very, very well. Every single person. Sometimes if I don't have a person, I will recast a scene. I don't really have any scenes that I can recast from this. I thought every scene was done as exceptional as it could be recasted, and I'll explain more on that in my. It's shot, and I'll explain more of that on my final thoughts. So this is what I'm going to recast right here. All right, I would recast the name of the movie. I think it could have been named a little bit better and a little bit more efficiently and effectively with something. And what it's going to be, it's going to be this right here. And the reason how come I'm renaming it from Skyfall to All Time to Die instead of No Time to Die is this. I've been a James Bond fan for many decades, right? I've watched him perform.
What's the title? Can we see that title, please, sir? All Time to Die.
And what I mean by All Time to Die, right? Instead of No Time to Die is what I like about James Bond is he's a hero. What do heroes do? Heroes save people, right? Who did James Bond save in this movie?
himself.
Right? It starts off. No, I'll give M credit. M talked about how they started off opening scene. He comes in, he's walking down the staircase. He sees some dude named Ronson. Right? Guess what? Ronson didn't make it. No, Ronson didn't make it. Right? So then he's on top of a train. He's fighting some other dude, and he's about to save all these people because he's going to get the list back, but James gets shot. Guess what? A lot of those people didn't make it. No, they got killed. A lot of people dying in this movie. That must be it. Oh, no, it's not it. Then he goes and he sees this woman in some kind of casino. And he says, hey, could you give up your boss for me? Could you give up your boss? Yeah, I got you. I don't know fear. You will. Guess what? She didn't make it. She didn't make it. But then we get the big reveal that the fellow rat comes in and says, hey, mommy's been bad and I want to kill mommy because mommy did all these bad things to me. Right? So, hey, guess what? You probably saved mommy. Oh, I'm sorry. Mommy didn't make it. Almost everybody dies in this movie. If you really think about it, what Silva wanted to do, Thanos, what Silva wanted to do in this movie, he succeeded in. He snapped his fingers and a whole bunch of people died. And James Bond didn't do anything, Captain America, and you should be ashamed of yourself. So I was a little upset. So I would not name this movie Skyfall. I would name this movie All Time to Die because that's what people did in this movie. They died a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this segment.
So no one's going to die in the sequel.
There's no time to die in the sequel. Everybody got killed already. So, we're going to come back after a brief commercial break. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's Unpopular Review.
My first quote is from Charmaine. Ron, I love your sweater. Hi, Chrissy, Vic, and Chris. Charmaine, I don't know what's going on, but I think you just want my attention at this point. And here, I'm going to give it to you, much as the joke is. My name is James. Now, either you hate me or not, in which case I don't care. I'll probably never meet you in real life. But I just wanted to highlight you and give you the attention that you so dearly crave. Clearly, because in every show it's either hi Chrissy or hi whoever else. And I extend my name to you, Charmaine. My name is James. I'm the one who. Well, anyway, I won't give you behind the scenes, but I was in your corner, so we'll see if you're in mine. My name is James. But let me salute your quote, Ron. I love your sweater. Chrissy, you're in the comment. Vic. You're there, and Chris, you're there as well. But I'm nowhere. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I
One character that we've all been brought up at one time or another during this episode, and that's going to be for our guy, Ted, aka Stephen Pena. So if I had to recast him, I was thinking this man right here. If it wasn't for this character's Christian values, I feel like he would make a great Ted. And I almost feel like they based this character off of this character, which is Ned. Ned Flanders.
Wow. Yeah.
You can see it. We all can see it here.
You know what though? I don't see Ned Flanders trying to take somebody's wife.
That's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for his Christian values, this would be Ned and Ted, one and the same.
You know who? It could be Quagmire.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. But the look, it was something about the look. They look the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of my recasting, guys.
Top 5. Number 5.
He and his helpers did not come to give, but to take.
Everybody, hold on to each other.
He is the shadow of St. Nicholas. His name is Krampus.
And we're back. Final thoughts. Who would like to go first?
Can I just say those are great commercials. I'm looking forward to the next show.
I want to
speaking of Stephen Pena,
I want to piggyback off of what James said. I want to piggyback off what James said. That was great commercials, and I also want to say that after one of those commercials, I have never seen Charmaine again. All right, so that's it. Let's go ahead with our final thoughts. Chrissy, you go ahead. You start.
Let the guests go first.
Okay. The next doctor you order.
All right.
Next doctor you order.
Final thoughts. I would say that whoever bought the Bond house is going to be pissed because that house got tore up. Other than that, I mean, this movie, it was a good entry into the series. I don't think it surpasses Casino Royale, the sequel. So, you know, it wasn't particularly noteworthy, but it wasn't, you know, really bad either. You know, just average. So, you know, it's a thumbs up because it's still a good movie, but you know, it doesn't surpass for a sequel.
Oh, okay.
That was
Nice.
close, Rashada. I thought I would have to hate you.
All right. So my final thought. I have a couple things I wrote down, so I want to just read through those really quickly. This is the best song for Bond that I've heard. I love the Skyfall song. Great song. Adele did a wonderful job doing it. I also like the imagery of playing when the song was playing, because it was a little dark. Like you could see, like, you know, knives and guns falling in the grave, and like they turned into graves, and it was just very dark. But this is a darker, grittier Bond, so I feel like it fit. I also wrote down. Oh, it was in one of the scenes they had. I think Jennifer was at like some kind of bar, like little tiki hut, and they had Wolf Blazer playing on the TV. And I wondered at that moment, when was it in film that they started using actual anchors, like news anchors in films? That's just something I wondered. And also later when they did that scene that I mentioned, that was one of my favorite, where they had the angle where you could see both Bond and Moneypenny in the casino. They've done that scene so many times in other movies. Even in Black Panther, they had a scene very similar when Black Panther was walking, and you could see what's her girl, Lupita, in the background. So I was wondering, was Bond the first one to do that type of scene? But anyway, that's just a random thought. I really enjoyed this villain. He's probably my favorite Bond villain. It's pretty much all downhill from here as far as Bond villains go, in my opinion. And also, they mentioned something, Cade mentioned that Welcome to Scotland, when the villains came to attack the castle or the mansion. And I always thought that Bond was supposed to be English. Like that was the whole thing. You have to find an English actor, And I know that the first Bond, he was Scottish, but I thought that was something that was kind of it was kind of frowned upon because the book was English and people have always tried to keep it English. But I thought it was interesting that they decided to make this Bond Scottish, like the first Bond. But anyway, long story short, I really enjoyed this film. It's actually right up there with Casino Royale. Sometimes it's first, sometimes it's second, but I really enjoyed this film. So thumbs up. What? Who's left? Uh-oh. Unmute yourself. Who's leaving this here? Chris?
Yeah, well, that was it, really. Like, I mean, you know, it really is. He already knows. It's a thumbs up. So, like, okay. Now, let me just get into my final thoughts. Final thoughts, and I'll make them quick, if I can do that. Okay. So going back to what I was alluding to earlier, this seems like the passing of the torch or the end of James Bond. And the reason I say that is because I always felt like 2019 and 2020 were the death of the last century. A lot of things were pretty much paying homage to the last century, and it was just killing off the 90s. And you know, the James Bond might be one of those things that might be evolving into a 007 female role. Either that's happening, or we're just gonna get a brand new Bond. I don't know, but this feels like the beginning of the passing of the torch. So I have to see Spectre, and then I have to see the one movie that's coming out next year, and then that's how I'll find out. But like I said before, watch all the movies because then you'll know what's going on. I got really sad about Q because I didn't. Done. Thumbs up.
You got really sad about Q because of cough. Okay.
Shaka. When the walls fell. Y2K. Pepsi Zero. I just was naming random things because that's what I thought we were doing during final thoughts. I'm going to end this with my final thought, which is a quote that I didn't get to before because, I like to keep time oriented and everything like that. I don't want to rush. I don't know why people are shaking their heads. That's what I'm known for. We've never been formally introduced. Oh, well, my name is Eve Moneypenny. I look forward to our time together, Miss Moneypenny. Me too. I'm sure we'll have 1 or 2 close shaves. How's the arm, sir? What? Oh, it's fine. It'll get better. All pretty shocking for someone unused to field work. So, 007, lots to be done. Are you ready to get back to work? With pleasure, M. With pleasure. Thumbs up.
Wow. Okay. Thumbs up. It's so funny because, like I said this a couple weeks ago, lately we've been on this everybody gets a thumbs up trend until we hit Jingle All the Way last week and we finally got some thumbs down.
Because you guys hate women.
I don't hate women, Chrissy. I gave you and your thumbs up.
That's a very disparaging thing to say. Don't say that.
Our viewers know. Our regular viewers know what's
no.
All right, look. Here's my final thought. Just to capitalize on some facts about this movie, Kingston, it was original idea for Kincaid. I said Kingston. The original idea for Kincaid actually was Sean Connery, which James alluded to. However, it was just an idea because they did not really approach Sean Connery about it because they figured he was not going to come out of retirement to do that. And they also realized that if they did do that, it would kind of overshadow what was going on in the movie anyway, because everybody would just be talking about the fact that Sean Connery came back to play something, even if it was a brief role. This movie cost $200 million to make. It made $1.1 billion worldwide. $304 million of it came from the United States. This movie got a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb.com. Here's some good things about the movie. This movie was starring Daniel Craig, who I think is one of the best James Bonds of all time. It was very action fulfilled. It had a lot of good scenes. It was cast very well. Here's some bad things about the movie. Unlike what my cohort C Superior said, I was not a fan of this Bond villain. He annoyed me, and I did not find him intimidating. Did he act the part very well? Yes, that's why I could not recast him, because I don't think anybody could, and I can't believe somebody mentioned Nicolas Cage earlier for anything, but I don't see anybody be able to play this role with the flair that he played it. I don't see anybody be able to play it as well as he played this scene. This movie. James Bond, the moniker from when I discovered him was called the original action movie hero, and he is the original action movie hero. Except for in this movie, I don't see where he's a hero. People die. He doesn't save anybody. All right, everybody dies, and the problem I have with Daniel Craig's genre of James Bond is the fact that I feel like every movie they get into, they have to make it very, very personal. It has to be some kind of moral dilemma. And as James will sit here and for 15, 20 minutes keep telling you, I love that, I love that, I love that, I love that. I don't love that. Sometimes all I want to see is an action movie. And that's why a couple weeks ago, I said my favorite James Bond movie is Tomorrow Never Dies. It wasn't really too personal in that one. Yeah, he slept with the man's wife before. But besides that, it was just him going out there and doing his job, doing what he had to do. And I don't see that out of Daniel Craig's movies. Something has to be. This one, his motherly figure was in danger. And you still got her killed. And she didn't even get killed by the main villain. She got killed by a random stray bullet that was meant for her, yeah, by Red Shirt number 2. It was ridiculous. All right? And it wasn't fitting. So believe it or not, I'm actually going to go ahead and give this movie a thumbs down. This was not one of my favorite James Bond movies. It's actually one of my least favorite James Bond movies, which is why I saw it 3 times. Did it have a lot of good things in it? Did it have a lot of good spots in it? Yes, it did. But at the same time, it just was not a very good. I did. And that's a spoiler alert. If we were able to continue, you would have seen it. And no, I'm not with the BS. I'm telling you like it is. This was not a good James Bond movie.
And it was think this is worse than Spectre?
We're not doing a Spectre. We're doing.
You said this was the worst James Bond you've seen.
You thought
said it was
Steve Jobs' biopic was better than this movie. You thought Steve Jobs' biopic was better than this movie.
I told you. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying, James. Were you like going over there and you like diving down to each and every single syllable that somebody says and how it came from England or Ireland or Europe?
It's not a silent movie.
Chris doesn't like his main characters to have any kind of emotional depth or backstory. He just wants shoot him, kill him. Action.
You know what? After 24 movies, why do you have to do that? You shouldn't have to do that all the time.
Because you have to make it different from the other ones. You can't just be shoot him. He saves the day every movie. You got to make something different for the fans.
You and James were the tomfoolery. Y'all ask me questions. Y'all don't let me finish. Can I finish? Is that okay with you?
You asked the question and I answered.
Why do Nightmare on Elm Street do very well? Why do Saws do very well? Why do Friday the 13th do very well? Because sometimes people do not or are not caring about anything. Movies. Why are you still interrupting me? See?
Because it doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to understand the sense here. I can't find it.
Sometimes people want to see somebody come out of Camp Crystal Lake and beat a naked woman and man over the head with a tree or a machete. You all right? That's all I'm saying. And James Bond,
he picked her up in the sleeping bag and beat her against the tree.
I remember that. In James Bond, I've seen 24 James Bond movies. I don't need to see a personal attachment, and I did in every single Daniel Craig movie, from Spectre all the way back up.
So you
to
want
Casino.
The same James Bond?
So you want to
character development?
When I'm trying to tell you my final thought, maybe this will help you out. So,
I thought your final thought was over.
All I'm saying is
you already gave a thumbs down. Final thought is complete.
This is final memoirs, not final thought.
Right, exactly. Final memoirs. Biography.
I don't understand. Hey, look, James Bond is my thing. All I'm saying is I don't need to see. Right? Let me repeat. I don't need to see James Bond going out there having an emotional attachment every time. He's a cold-blooded killer that's supposed to go out there and do a job. Go out there and do your job. That's what I like about Tomorrow Never Dies. Saw a villain. The villain was kooky. He went out there, killed a few people, saved the day. Great. He saved. He was the hero. Now, all right, James. Now, right. Now, you know what? It's sad for our viewers and our listeners because I got more comments in the daggone private chat than I do in the comments from YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. But anyway, at the end of the day, in this one, I don't need to see him going out there saving M. I don't need to see him going out there and saving that woman he met at a casino. I don't need him to go out there and save his fellow spies, and I don't need to go out there and save his friend because he failed at all of them. You're terrible, James Bond. In this movie, wasn't happy about it. Sorry, thumbs down for me.
So his second final thought is just complete. Can someone give him the thumbs down again since he finished his second final thought?
I have
Hold on,
5 words for
Here
you.
you go.
I have 5 words for you. Casper, Jingle All the Way. Vic,
okay, Sonic, Jingle All the Way is great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for unpopular reviews entertainment. I'm thinking about everything that you said, and honestly, like, there's certain parts where I do kind of agree. One thing that I was alluding to earlier was just that this is the death of this.
Is this another second final thought?
No, I'm sorry. It's just that this is the death of this character. Like, it's the truth. Like, really, like, you really are. You kill it. You kill it, James. Bond.
Let's just end it.
But anyway, I'm just saying. That's all I was saying. Like, you killing the whole. I don't know. You killing the manliness of James Bond. But anyway, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for watching Unpopular Reviews.
James, no.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. I know you're trying to close it out with your hate on the unknown agent in the next movie that hasn't come out yet. But let me just say this. I just want to say thank you to all our viewers, especially Nicolas Cage. Thank you so much for the interview earlier, and thank you for watching our show.
How about you thank the ones you alienated when you insulted them with that picture you recasted?
Goodbye, everybody.
What picture are you talking about? Oh,
good night. Good night.
Oh, man. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen.